Welcome to this week's long form content at Moving Forward Properties, LLC and Katie's House Foundation. My name is Kirsten VanderJagt and we have Julie here. So we're going to jump right in. As you know, we normally spend this 10, 15, 30 minutes talking about what's happening in our business, maybe in your business. Also, private money. That's what we do on our for-profit side is we give private money, hard money, DSCR loans and bridge loans for residential and sometimes commercial like housing projects or mixed use. But I like to say our bells and whistles are different and our first class service is very different. Julie, what do you think going in today's long form content?
I thought today we could talk about the market in general, maybe towards the state of Florida, how everything is staying on the market longer. People are getting frustrated. People aren't sure whether the prices are going up or down. They're waiting for the interest rates to go down. They have gone down a little bit, then they went back up, it seems like. So, yeah, I just wanted to dive into some of the things that, and just as an example, I've taken a couple of road trips this summer, and obviously we were in Tennessee as well. If you drive from the north to the south, I see a lot of multifamily being built, big complexes. There's huge amounts of multifamily that have gone up in the last 5 years, I think. I know that a lot of that has to do with the interest rates and the pricing and what people are looking relocating. So yeah, I wanted to dive into what we can do to help people that are struggling, trying to figure out what should I do? I don't want to lower my price. How you just have one person that's your realtor that you're listening to, but you've got all these other things that you can look up. You've got access to the internet. So what I wanted to dive into was what is really going on.
It's such a broad question right now in July 2026 because yes, the National Association of Realtors comes out with data every single day, and you can go on Zillow and you can very clearly see that stuff is sitting on the market longer in the single family space. There's a lot of single family homes available, and yet they're building more single family in some pockets. We give financing. And what's unique about those builders that sets them apart so they can sell or get a bridge loan from us to buy more time. And as far as the multifamily, yeah, it wasn't at 19% new build starts. And that is for 5 units or more, I believe. We can help those people with financing. And all they have to do is go to the myportfolioloan.com. So www.myportfolioloan.com. And they would pick under the apartment if they want to get financing, private money to basically build an apartment. If you can, of course, have 10 units, then if one person doesn't pay and you have 9 people paying, that's how you manage the cash flow, which is why you would want to do something like that versus a single family property. I've always been a fan of 2 to 4 units because if you can pick off a 2 unit, that's easy to manage. A 3 unit, a 4 unit, and that falls into residential. So us giving you financing is actually, you can put less down on the down payment. And of course, these are no income loans, so no job, no employment, no tax returns. A lot of people haven't filed tax returns still for 26 or even past years. But yes, I think that markets are softening for sure. We know that they are. I think getting an appraisal from us on a bridge loan is hugely advantageous because you're right. The realtors, which I was a realtor for 18 years, I just recently decided not to continue doing that. I think a lot of them just say, let's list and see whatever you think it's worth to the seller because they want to put that under contract, meaning that they get the listing agreement. And then they let the market speak to them, which means that a buyer is going to tell us what it's worth, which is garbage too. Because why would you want a buyer to tell you what your property is worth? So between the buyer and the seller on opposite ends of the pricing negotiation. And then the realtor who wants to make their commission, and they do have a fiduciary duty to represent whichever party, or if they're doing a dual agency. I've been getting an independent appraisal and getting a bridge loan right now. I can cash out, just get some cash, have us finance your loan payments. So that way you don't have to worry about loan payments. Even if you have golden handcuffs. I used to have a mortgage at 2.75 on a primary home. And then we moved out and it was sitting vacant for 60 days. During that 60 days, I would have loved to know that I could have taken cash out inside of 14 days with Moving Forward Properties LLC and not given any documentation whatsoever and just had a couple $100,000 to move on with my life and had that appraisal. Because I think that appraisal would have come back $100,000 more than what I sold the property for. Initially, I thought I could ask more. And then after waiting, I got impatient.
So I did research and I looked into Florida. The average throughout the United States is 53 days on the market, then add 35 to 45 days to close. So you're looking at 70 to 100 days, right? But in Florida, nearly 44% of all the active listings, and this is for residential, underwent some kind of price reduction. So it's you said you're trusting the realtor to put it on the market at that price and then you're going to see what happens. And I think that's where we at Moving Forward Properties, we know that things go up and down, right? So you might have an area where it's really hot and that might be because there is not enough land. But on the average, you're not getting that anywhere. Miami would be one area that I think the luxuries are going much faster and it's putting those single family home people, they're sitting there going, well, what am I going to do? Like, how long am I going to have to wait? And the realtor doesn't know because it depends on who comes along and what kind of financing they have. Having that appraisal and having that bridge loan can get you into a position to decide that if you don't want to have that issue, you can make it into a rental too, because people are not able to save up for that first house and that down payment and they are renting. So we can help them with that.
On the people who are currently renting that want to become a first-time buyer, of course, we have lots of conventional loan officer friends at banks or all different kinds of lending places. But I think they're just going to wait it out because rates are ticking up. And I think they're sitting around 6.5, just slightly over 6.5 on a 30-year fix. But you know what? I mean, that's where they were in 2002. And the thing is, though, the average house price back then was like 200,000. I mean, I was doing loans back then in California, and my average loan amount was 250. Now the average loan amount is closer to $1 million. And that delta, here we are 25 years later. I don't think that's going to change. In some of these areas, we follow 40,000 zip codes internally, and we've seen a reverse in Ocala, Florida, where it was projected at neutral without softening for the next 12 months. Now in Ocala, it's like 4% projected to soften. That would mean if you have a house for sale in Ocala, you should be cognizant of that and get it sold and come to us at myportfolioloan.com and request a bridge loan to get an appraisal on the correct forms from an independent person. Even if you don't close the loan, of course, we want to give you the money. You can continue to just see what happens. It's not really a strategy versus knowing that an appraiser says this is what it's going to sell for in 90 days and the rental schedule, this is what it should rent for. And I don't know that I would let a tenant move into my property if I just beautified it. And I want somebody to be able to go and see it at any time, bringing the right buyer.
I think part of my research that I looked into the new builds that are going on, probably even across the country, I would think this is happening because the new builds, obviously the interest rate is what's turning people off, whether it's an existing house or a new build, but the builders are able to buy down that interest rate for some of those people. That's making it more tactically to think about these markets, where you're at and what's going on in that market and where you want to go with that. Not everyone's an investor. So one of my favorites is to keep it as a rental. I have a neighbor, he was in the military, and every time he got sent somewhere, he would buy a house there and he kept it. And he's got the rentals now in all these towns, established places, for that reason, that he knew that other people were going to need to live there. I think some of our products are helpful, not just for the investor, but it can also turn you into an investor. Some people are shy and afraid of it, but they want to learn about it. They want to know about it, and they want to reap the benefits. I'm sure Warren Buffett, he's been stockpiling his cash so that he can deploy it when it's time. Some of these markets, it's time to deploy that, because that's going to make you the money when you buy and not when you sell. Selling takes time sometimes, and people can't balance that move with the, I need that money to go to the next place. That's a perfect explanation for us to get out there to the rest of the world that it is possible to do that bridge, and that here at Moving Forward Properties, we do have that fast turnaround and we have that funding guarantee. So I think that's something that we can spread out, not just to investors, and let the realtors know about it as well.
Yeah, I would agree that the realtors need some love, and we love realtors, of course, and being able to offer them and their clients these really easy loans. That's how I like to think of it. Easy, hard money. It's private money, which just means the rates are better. We don't have a finance and foreclosed model. We can make exceptions. If people are listening and they have $100,000 sitting in a retirement account that they want to deploy, there are amazing deals to get picked up in major metros in the 45 states that we serve. And if they come to us and get a proof of funds letter on a 15-minute call, they can take that, they could write 15 purchase contracts a week. They could tell their realtor every single family property at 500,000 and below, just go ahead and write an offer for maybe 350 and send it out with the proof of funds letter. Send it. You'll be surprised, because there's a lot of sellers, even military, who are in pain right now, where they have to move and maybe they don't have the know-how of knowing how to put a tenant in there, or they don't want to, and they're willing to just sell for pennies on the dollar. They might even have inherited a property and they're willing to, because they don't know what it's worth. Like, is it worth 500? Is it worth 400? Is it worth 350? Even if you're pulling comparables, there are so many things inside a house and outside a house that can change those comps. We look at appraisals all the time. I've looked at one right now, looking at when the comp sold and how far away it was. If the market is slowing, then there are less comps as well. There's a lot of data, but you need it for your specific property address. If you are a realtor, we would want to align with you to ensure that your clients are having the benefits of the purchase money, the bridge to success, and all these different things, because people are feeling stuck and unsure. With an appraisal and with a team like ours, I think they could do some movement and not be stagnant.
I feel bad. Like I said, I read that stat that said that 44% of the people had to lower the price and a pay cut. And it just wasn't necessary. Could they have waited another 30 days and gotten that price that they had originally started with? People get anxious and they don't have the opportunity to figure out what other options they have. They feel like they're stuck, and that's
Well,
just not true.
imagine paying $750 for an appraisal, and then you can see the nearest comps and you can see what the houses look like. You could then do the cash out and improve your property to be the highest selling comp that sold within a few months, within a mile. So then you could bring that buyer, because your realtor would have that information and you would have the cash to improve your property to be similar. These are all the inside strategies that people can do instead of just wondering if my agent is doing more showings, why isn't it selling? But the thing is too, is I think everyone has to wait 60 days to do a price reduction, unless you just went on market so high that, because once you do that price reduction, you're telling everyone, I'm willing to take less.
And I guess that's my point too, is that you're sending out a message without having that one thing you had in your pocket before you did that. Try to keep that in mind especially when you're pricing it. But you mentioned something there that I absolutely loved, is that if you get that bridge loan, we don't expect you to come with all this other information about your contractor, how you're going to get that improvement on that house, just to take some of that money and improve that kitchen. That might be the one thing that sells that house for you at top dollar. The bathroom might be the one thing that changes everybody's opinion when they walk in there, or the floor. And so it's not necessarily being an investor or being that flipper. It's just you're taking that one thing that you would have done if you would want it. It's like love it or list it. Same concept, but in your personal bag, we're going to list it at this price. Instead of listing at that price and taking a price reduction, think about putting that bridge loan in place, improving the property and getting more than you even thought you were, because the people that first walked in it now are super wowed and will compete for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go on market knowing what I know now about getting a bridge loan. I would go to myportfolioloan.com and get a quote in 15 minutes, order the appraisal, and then decide what my price is going to be and how long I'm going to wait to do a price reduction. And then our bridge loan doesn't have a construction component required. Once you get cash in hand, you could do construction to improve the property, which would improve the value. 47% of listings are getting canceled in 2026. Realtors are doing a whole bunch of work, and almost half of their clients are canceling those listings in 2026. We are going to do a webinar series every week for real estate agents to help them not lose half their clients for the rest of this year and headed into 2027, because it doesn't look like it's really going to change in a favorable way for real estate agents because of the new environment. We're going to start doing this real estate investment deal series. Julie, I do have one that I wanted to talk about, which is a property that was priced too low. And it's because the seller wanted money. For anyone who's listening, would you do this real estate investment deal? It was a $350,000 asking price. A big house, the worst house in a very nice neighborhood where the other houses are worth $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $1 million. So you're talking on average $700,000, and they're selling it for $350,000. And it smelled inside. When you went inside, it was terrible, in my opinion. With $50,000 worth of renovation, it could be brought up to a $600,000 house. It would still be the most affordable house in the neighborhood. We would have financed the loan payments. There would have been only about $60,000 that a friend or family could have dropped into escrow. And so the investor could have made $130,000. Would you do this real estate investment deal with a $350,000 purchase price, $50,000 in construction funds, no loan payments, no income, no assets, no verification of employment, doesn't matter what you have on your credit report as far as debts, and then you sell the thing for $600,000 and you make $120,000? Would you do the deal? Well, of course. No, you have to know though.
Well, you'd have to, obviously, I would be saying to myself, I have to know the right people to get those deals, right? It's like any of those kind of things, the smells, the real bad, I know when we were at the Builder Expo, we talked to people that specialize in cracks, foundation cracks. So some of that stuff scares some of the people away from doing that. Just saying the numbers and knowing what products that Moving Forward Properties offers, and what, like you said, we can get exceptions. We can, it's all done in business. It's asset-based lending. It's made in business. It's loaned to your business, not to you personally. So as many mortgages that you have in your name, it's not going to matter what debt you have, just the numbers. Who doesn't want to make $120,000? Would you do the deal?
I would do the deal. The only reason that I didn't do that deal was because of my other deals going on and being involved with family and business affairs. And so it was a capacity issue. But I think the more that we talk about how to find those diamonds in every single major metro, it's pretty easy to spot them. If you go on Zillow, set your buy box as an investor, and set your alerts, then you'll get pinged when they come on the market. And it's up to you to drive over there and smell the thing or send somebody, because you wouldn't know sight unseen. And then you have to write your offer. But if you're putting out 5 offers a day, or you tell your realtor, just put them out, and you have a proof of funds letter from us, we'll close that thing in 14 days, guaranteed. And I just think that it's still a buyer's market if you're willing to have that kind of a strategy. Is it a seller's market? No. I think that it is no longer a seller's market. I think even having some stuff on the market for sale at a reasonable price has proved that to me personally as an investor. And I think that if you're a seller right now, you need to just come to us and get an appraisal. I can't say it enough, because I don't want them to sit on the market for 90, 100. I saw one yesterday. It's been on the market for over 365 days, and they reduced the price by $101,000 per day.
In one day?
In one day.
Yeah, this is why I wanted to talk about this today, because I think that people are very frustrated with not getting the information. But at the same time, as a realtor myself for a while, it's difficult to say what's going on globally and what's going on in the major metro areas. And then you come outside the major metro areas, like where exactly are you? Is the inventory what they think it's supposed to be to match that price? That's a big sign that somebody either didn't get the memo or somebody was not informed. That would scare me too.
It's a builder and a realtor. It's their own build, and they're a realtor. So what does that say for when they listed it 12 months ago? I'm trying to say that they didn't have enough information to price it and get it sold. Now, maybe they wanted to wait a year for tax purposes. We don't know. There could be something going on, and they strategically did that. Good for them. If that's what
That, in your market there, does that jive with the rest of the prices now? Or does it actually go below what all the other houses in that neighborhood are going or went for if they were new?
the thing is that when you're doing custom houses, there are a lot of custom houses being built in a lot of different pockets of the country here in the United States, especially when you're doing stuff like that and you're a pioneer and you want to do something new. Without an appraisal after it's completed, because market conditions have changed from when you started the project to when you completed it. So I just think that, to answer your question, because there's a lot of new construction where I am, I actually don't have the answer for you, Julie. These are custom homes. They are for wealthy people that are willing to pay $5 million. And there's not very many in that buyer pool in this particular area, unless they're moving to Arizona from LA or another pocket. We do have lots of wealthy people, but do I think that the supply and demand is out of order? I think that's what is happening for people doing things with hope. Even if you've done great builds and been a very successful realtor or builder before, there's so much changing specific to every city right now that you don't know if you're in one of those zip codes that's softening or going up 15%, because there are zip codes projected to go up 15% over the next 12 months.
www.myportfolioloan.com. We'd love for you to like and subscribe. Just down below is that subscribe button. Keep us in tune here so that you can hear more about how you can get those properties or get that information that really is going to help you make that best decision.
Yeah, we're going to start doing reels about this, like 60-second shorts. This real estate investment deal is really interesting to me. We have so many that come across that they're really good deals, and we can even help people see that stuff before they're in contract. We can't share private information, but if you are into real estate or you are a builder, a flipper, a landlord, or you're just a regular Joe or a regular Jane, and you have a property that is going to go on the market, or maybe it's already on market and you want to get an easy loan and get cash, keep listening. You might be in an education stage, and that's cool because we do the financial literacy here. Julie, I did want to talk about this. We're running a little bit longer today, but we at the company hired 8 people in the last 7 days. That's a lot of people to onboard, especially in this market where people are getting laid off. When you put out a job requisition on Indeed, for 2 days, we had 60 people apply for one of the jobs. That was like paperwork related. We had over 130 people apply for a sales job. We had my assistant go through the resumes, and we ended up hiring just a handful of people. Now that we have been working with them, they are fantastic. What I wanted to talk about right now is people who are looking for a job, regardless of your age. I want to tell you 3 things that'll help you find a job. Number 1, go on Indeed and set your alerts for what you want. Make sure that your resume, all the keywords have to speak to that particular position. Number 2, be checking your email and your voicemail every day because you're going to miss the opportunity when it calls. And then number 3, if you get hired for a remote position, like a work from home, you should have a fully set up office and be willing to start right away. Julie,
I tell you from reviewing those resumes, some of those people were looking for a better paying job and they weren't really ready to get into that position fully ready to go. God bless some of the people working at a retail place and they wanted to get into sales. There's a lot of different sales that people can get into, but I think when it comes to having even the simplest equipment or the simplest area and not overthinking the minor things when it comes to remote work is very important when it comes to applying to match your personality to what you're doing. Managing people has always been, because I've been in customer service my whole life. So I think we as employers have a duty to make sure that people can fulfill the things that we're asking them to do. I know a lot of people are looking for jobs. A lot of people maybe are looking to supplement because they have a main job and they're trying to make that extra money they need because gas costs more or rent costs more. People can't get ahead when they really are trying. That's important to focus getting those little tiny things and get that specific information. Like you said, check your email, get that thing that you're looking for tied into all of your other daily stuff so that you can fulfill those positions that you want to do. If you focus in on what you're trying to accomplish, you will be able to accomplish it by paying attention to the finer details.
my husband says that I can get any job, and I will just say that it's because I rewrite my resume. It's not that I'm trying to get every job, but if I want to go after a job, you look at what they're writing on the requisition and you change your resume to highlight those words if that is true that you have them in your background. When we receive those resumes, it rings true for us, right? You as the president here, is that because you're in law enforcement and you've had to dissect people on paper and people in real life? You said to me, did I get eyes on him? And like a true police officer would say, I had spoken with him via Zoom. A lot of the candidates, we just got rid of them because their resumes were so far off in language. They weren't using the language that we were using. When you have 130 people send you their resumes in a couple days and you want to fill that job in a week from now, you have to go through and then you call or email them Some people, it took 2 or 3 days for them to get back to us, which was a test by itself, because if they're looking for a job and it takes them 2 or 3 days, imagine if we gave them a client. You can't have that. It will never work.
That's the finer detail, right? When some of those ones that I reviewed too, I think they were trying to get a better job. The thing that you're talking about is to change that resume to mimic what you're looking for. So you may not have the best sales experience, or you may not have the best experience in that, but you probably do have something that you can elaborate on and not just paper mill your resume to everybody. The hard part.
The opposite side of being prepared is there is an element of luck and timing. The most recent position that we filled, I'm so excited to have her on board, and she called twice in 2 days, which is different than everyone else. She called back 2 mornings in a row. The early bird got the worm on day 2. The minute that you are invited, it doesn't hurt to have those follow-up skills. And it wasn't an email. It was a phone call twice. I think the timing was right. There was a little bit of luck involved, but it's a really good match. And that speaks to her desire to make sure that she's helping our clients here at Moving Forward Properties, because they're busy individuals. I think everyone has a lot of things with family and work. Like you said, even carving out 12 hours a week, that's the minimum that we ask people to work. When we ask them what days they can work, only pick 4 days, 3 hours a day. This is a start. That's one of the interview questions. And they're like, actually,
A lot of people are trying to substitute some of the other work because it is a work at home position. They haven't quite refined themselves down to exactly how they were going to do that before they applied for the position. That's where I'm honing in on those things that you're going to have to balance between going one place and working for 8 hours, but then when you come home, you got to put in 2 hours. What days can you do that? Figure that out in your head before you apply, and then apply that to the resume as a cohesive thing. People just aren't doing those little things that really would make a difference. Our employee now took that extra step to treat them like a client. We need to follow up. I've sent you an email, but I haven't heard from you. I'd like to close this. I'm going to need to call them. And I think that's where we're different. We want to get you that loan in 14 days, and we want our people to communicate, and we want to communicate with our clients.
Not having too many cooks in the kitchen is really helpful here at the firm. Making sure that the subject matter experts are leading. Everyone can learn from them, even though we have a lot of training. It's getting better and better. If you run a business, or you're a real estate agent, or you're an investor or builder, all these tactical things make a difference. It's hard to hold people accountable, and yet it's totally necessary. Hire slow and fire fast. I think it's okay to hire fast because you can pretty much tell immediately how that person, if you wait 2 days, you can tell how they're going to behave to some degree. So for everyone that left me voicemails and only called me back one time, I'm really sorry that I'm not going to have time to call you back. You should have called a second time. We're 3 days into this for this other position. Even if they called me, the fact that they didn't call me 2 days in a row, it's like she did. And she got the job. We still need one more person for that position. I think I'm going to let everything simmer. For everyone who's looking for a job, when the iron is hot, you've got to return the same type of behavior, and the next day be Johnny on the spot and put your best foot forward, be speaking the same language, and be able to answer those questions. All right, Julie, anything else?
No, like and subscribe. Catch us here next week. Thanks for the views.
All right, bye.
Bye.